He sent her a message on a Tuesday night. He spent 40 minutes writing it. He reread it 4 times before hitting send. She read it and said nothing. Not that day, not the next day, not the day after that. 3 days of silence. And here's what he did next. What almost every man does in that moment. Completely destroyed any chance he had left. I'm going to show you exactly what he did wrong. And more importantly, I'm going to show you what you should do instead. Because what I'm about to walk you through in this video is the only response to being ignored that actually works. Not the one that feels right, not the one your ego wants to do, the one that works. Welcome back. Today we're talking about something that happens to almost every man at some point. And almost every man handles it wrong. When she goes silent, when she pulls away, when your messages go unread, or worse, read and unanswered. Now, I have to warn you before we get into this. Step 3 is going to feel completely backwards. In fact, when I tell you what it is, your first instinct will be to say, that's the opposite of what I should do, but the men who actually do step 3, they're the ones she calls back. Stay with me and stay until the end, because after step 5, I'm going to show you something that changed how I think about this entire situation. Something most men have never even considered. Let's get into it. Step 1, stop right now. Don't send another word. Step 1 sounds almost insultingly simple. Stop reaching out right now, this second. No follow-up text. No. Hey, just checking in. No. Did you see my message? No voice note. No reaction to her story. Nothing. Now, I know what you're thinking, but if I go quiet, she'll think I don't care. Or worse, she'll forget about me. Here's what nobody tells you about that fear. It's exactly backwards. Every additional message you send when she's already gone. Quiet does one thing. It tells her that her silence is working, that she has all the power, that you are waiting, and people, not just women, people stop valuing what waits for them. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Was it the thing that was always available, always there whenever you wanted it? Or was it the thing that felt just slightly out of reach? I've seen men send 11 messages in a row to a woman who had already emotionally left the building. Each message made it worse. Each message confirmed what she was already feeling, that she had made the right decision. Pulling away. So, step 1 is simple, but it requires more strength than almost anything else on this list. Put the phone down. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because step 2 is what you do with yourself while the phone is down. Step 2, fill the space. She left immediately. Step 2, fill the silence with your own life fast, loudly, on purpose. This is not about making her jealous. I want to be clear about that. This is about something far more important. When someone we care about pulls away, our brain enters a state psychologists call anxious preoccupation. Every thought loops back to her. Every song, every notification that isn't from her, every moment of quiet becomes a reminder of the silence. And in that state, you make bad decisions. You reread old messages, you check if she's active online, you convince yourself that one perfect message would fix everything. It won't. What will help you? And here's the part most dating advice skips is immediately deliberately filling your time with things that matter to you. Call the friend you've been meaning to call, go to that gym class, start the thing you keep putting off, not to perform a life for her benefit. But because a man with a full life is genuinely different from a man who is waiting, she can feel that difference even through a phone screen. And here is the brutal truth that step 2 is built on. The men who move forward even when they don't feel like it are the men who get called back. The men who sit and wait, they get silence. Okay, we're at step 3, the one I warned you about. Step 3, do not explain yourself. Do not apologize. Step 3, and I told you this one would feel wrong. When she ignores you, do not apologize for something you're not sure you even did. Do not send a message explaining your feelings. Do not reach out to clear the air. Do not ask if you said something wrong. I know every instinct you have right now is telling you to fix it, to explain, to make it okay, but here's what's actually happening when you do that. You are handing her a script that says, my behavior is negotiable based on your silence. And the moment a woman believes that, the moment she sees that, she can reshape how you act simply by going quiet. Something changes in how she sees you. It's not conscious. She doesn't sit down and think he apologized, so now I respect him less. But psychologists who study attachment patterns have documented this consistently. When someone apologizes for another person's emotional withdrawal, the withdrawing person almost always pulls back further, not because they're cruel, because subconsciously they are looking for someone who is grounded, who doesn't unravel when things get uncertain. And an unsolicited apology says, I unravel. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I did do something wrong? What if she has a real reason to be upset? That's a fair question, and it's exactly what step 4 answers, because step 4 is the only moment in this entire process where you reach back out, and when you do it one very specific way. Step 4, one message, no pressure, no explanation. Step 4, this is the only message you send, and you send it exactly once, is short. It is calm, and it contains zero pressure. Here is the structure. You acknowledge the silence briefly. You leave a door open. You ask nothing in return. Something like, hey, no pressure at all. Just wanted you to know the door's open. If you ever want to talk, hope you're doing well. That's it. Not, I've been going crazy wondering what I did wrong. Not, I miss you. Please just talk to me. Not a paragraph with 3 questions at the end. One message, low pressure, high dignity. Now here's the part most men miss, and it's the most important part of step 4. After you send it, you let it go completely. You don't check if she read it every hour. You don't send a follow-up 2 days later. You said what you needed to say. You left the door open. What happens next is entirely up to her. And this right here is actually what changes everything. Because when she finally does look at her phone, and she won't find desperation, she'll find a man who was calm enough to say something once with grace and then get back to his life. That is genuinely rare, and rare is attractive. Now, before we get to step 5, I have to pause because this is the moment in the video where a lot of men are realizing something uncomfortable, not just about her, about the whole situation. Look, here's the truth that nobody in this space wants to say out loud. Most men don't suffer from not knowing what to text. They suffer from being completely consumed by the wrong person. And I know that sounds harsh, but think about it. You've probably had at least one conversation in your life where none of this was an issue, where you didn't second guess this every word, where you weren't reading into silences, where things just moved naturally. That's not luck. That's alignment. There's actually a service I want to tell you about called Soulmate Sketch. And I'll be honest with you, when I first came across it, I almost scrolled past it. The concept is this: a professional psychic artist, someone who has spent years studying energy, connection, and spiritual compatibility, creates a detailed hand-drawn sketch of what your soulmate actually looks like. Not based on what you say you want, based on your energy, your profile, the person you are actually meant to find. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking. Come on, that's not real. I thought the same thing, but then I started reading the stories, thousands of them, people who received their sketch, and then weeks or months later met someone who matched it almost exactly. One man described meeting a woman at a work conference. He recognized her smile before he even knew her name. He went home, opened a drawer, and pulled out the sketch he'd received 6 months earlier. Same smile, same eyes. He said he stood there for a long time. The link is in the description below. Takes about 2 minutes to submit your profile. I think it's worth seeing, especially if you're the kind of person who wonders whether this situation you're in right now is really where your energy belongs. Okay, step 5. This is the one that ties everything together. Step 5. Let her answer tell you everything you need to know. Step 5, and this is the one that most men are not ready to hear. Let her response or her silence be the answer. Because here's the thing about ignoring that nobody talks about honestly. Sometimes it means she's overwhelmed. Sometimes it means she's scared. Sometimes it means she's going through something private that has nothing to do with you. And sometimes it means exactly what it looks like. The only way you find out which one is true is by giving her the space to show you. If you have done steps 1 through 4, you stopped pursuing. You filled your life. You didn't apologize unnecessarily. You sent one calm message. Then you have done everything right, everything. And now her response tells you exactly who she is and exactly where you stand. If she comes back with honesty and warmth, then there's something real worth exploring. If she doesn't, then the silence was not a problem to solve. It was information, and that information is not a rejection of you. It is a redirection. I want you to sit with that for a second because the man at the beginning of this story, the one who sent her the 40-minute message, he didn't lose her in that moment. He lost her weeks earlier when he started abandoning his own life to chase her attention. That's the real story, and that's what step 5 protects you from ever repeating. Now, I promised you something at the beginning of this video. I promised to tell you the one thing that changes this whole dynamic at its root. Here it is. You cannot bring the right energy to the wrong person. You can do every step perfectly. The composure, the space, the one calm message, and if she is not the right person, it still won't work. Not because you failed, but because some connections were never supposed to last, and the universe has a way of making sure they don't. Which is why the most powerful thing you can do right now is not just think about what to do when she ignores you. It's ask yourself whether this is even the person you're supposed to be fighting for. And that's where I want to bring up soulmate sketch one more time, because that's actually what it's about at its core, not just seeing a face, but redirecting your energy towards someone who is genuinely energetically meant for you. Thousands of people have done it. The stories in the comments are honestly hard to explain away. One woman said she almost didn't submit her profile because she thought it was silly. 8 months later, she met someone who matched the sketch so closely that her hands shook. I've put the link directly in the description below. It takes 2 minutes. And who knows, the person in that sketch might be someone you haven't met yet, or maybe someone you've already crossed paths with and didn't stop long enough to notice. If this video gave you something to think about, that's a good thing. Clarity is always the first step. 5 steps. Stop reaching out. Fill your own life immediately. Don't apologize for her withdrawal. Send one calm, low-pressure message once and let her response tell you everything. That's it. That's the whole framework. Drop a comment below and tell me which step was hardest to hear. I read every single one. And if you know someone going through this right now, send them this video. It might be exactly what they need to hear today. The next video I'm putting out is going to cover something most men have completely backwards. Why? The harder you try to keep a woman's attention, the faster it disappears, and the one counterintuitive shift that reverses it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next